The biggest change you can make right now isn't about changing the world overnight. It's about changing your direction just a few degrees towards something better. You don't need to wait for a perfect moment or for everything to fall into place. The truth is, the right time never comes fully ready. You create it by deciding that now is enough. Right now, you have the power to shift your focus. Maybe it's moving from doubt to belief, from hesitation to action, from comfort to growth. Every major transformation begins quietly with one simple decision: to stop living the same day over and over again. Change doesn't always mean doing something huge. It can mean waking up earlier, choosing to be kinder, taking responsibility instead of making excuses, or finally letting go of what's holding you back. It's about showing up differently, not for the world first, but for yourself. Every time you choose courage over fear, discipline over laziness, or faith over frustration, you're rewriting your story. You're proving that progress is built, not given. No one else can make this shift for you. It's your life, your mind, your moment. So take a deep breath. Whatever you've been putting off, whatever scares you, whatever you think is too late, it's not. You can start again today. You can choose to move forward, even if it's slow, even if it's messy. Because the biggest change you can make right now is deciding that you are capable of more and then acting like it. Biggest change you can make right now is to shift your direction even slightly. You don't need to transform everything overnight. Just decide to move towards something better, no matter how small the step. Change doesn't always come with fireworks or dramatic moments. Sometimes it begins quietly with a single thought, a single decision. It starts in that small space between what you are and what you want to become. The beauty of change is that it doesn't demand perfection. It only asks for progress, slow, honest, and consistent progress. Many people wait for the perfect time to start when they have more money, more energy, more motivation, or more support. But that perfect time rarely comes. Life doesn't pause to give you the right conditions. It challenges you to create them. Waiting for everything to be ideal is like waiting for the ocean to be still before learning to swim. The truth is, growth happens while you're in motion, not while you're standing still. You don't need to see the entire staircase, just take the first step, and the rest will reveal itself as you move forward. Every big transformation begins with a decision, not an opportunity, not a miracle, but a decision. That decision could be as simple as saying, I'm not staying the same anymore. Once you decide, even if you don't yet know how, you've already shifted your direction. You've turned the compass of your life towards something new. The moment you choose change, your energy starts to align differently. You begin to notice opportunities you once ignored, ideas you once dismissed, and strengths you didn't realize you had. Shifting direction doesn't mean tearing down everything you've built. It means refining it. Maybe it's choosing to think more positively, to stop comparing yourself to others, or to finally forgive yourself for past mistakes. Sometimes the biggest change isn't external at all, it's internal. It's changing the way you think, the way you speak to yourself, the way you handle challenges. If you can shift your perspective, you can shift your entire reality. Remember, small steps matter. A 1-degree change in direction might not look like much today, but over time, it completely changes your destination. Think about a plane that adjusts its course by just 1 degree after several hours of flight. It lands hundreds of miles from where it would have if it had stayed on the original path. The same happens in life. The small habits you repeat daily, waking up earlier, reading instead of scrolling, practicing gratitude, taking care of your health. They seem insignificant in the moment, but they build up quietly until one day you realize you've changed completely. It's easy to underestimate the power of consistency. We live in a world that celebrates instant success and overnight results, but lasting change is rarely instant. It's built through patience, through discipline, through the decision to keep showing up, even when no one notices. The people who reach their goals aren't always the most talented or lucky. They're the ones who simply refuse to quit. They kept moving, even when progress felt invisible. To change direction, you don't need motivation every day. You need commitment. Motivation is temporary, but commitment is steady. There will be days when you don't feel inspired, when your energy is low, when your efforts seem wasted. But if you stay committed to your new path, even through those days, you'll keep moving forward. Progress doesn't always look exciting. Sometimes it's quiet, lonely, and slow, but it's still progress. The biggest obstacle to change is often fear, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. It's natural to feel afraid, but fear doesn't mean stop. It means you're standing on the edge of growth. Every great achievement began with someone stepping into uncertainty. The people who change their lives are not those without fear, but those who act in spite of it. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward while your hands still shake. Another truth about change is that it doesn't need anyone's permission. You don't need approval to grow, to outgrow old habits, or to leave behind people who no longer align with your path. This is your life, your journey. If something feels heavy, draining, or wrong, you're allowed to set it down and walk away. Growth often means letting go of comfort, of control, of who you used to be. That's not weakness, that's evolution. So start now. Don't wait for Monday, next month, or next year. The version of you who is ready to begin already exists. They're just waiting for your decision. Every day you delay, the mountain in front of you looks taller. But the moment you start climbing, you realize it's not as impossible as it seemed. Change begins with motion, not perfection. Look at your life and ask yourself, what one thing can I do differently today? It doesn't have to be dramatic. Maybe it's choosing to speak kindly to yourself, to start that project you've been delaying, to go for a walk instead of scrolling endlessly, or to take the first step toward a long-forgotten dream. The point is not how fast you move, but that you move at all. Because the biggest change you can make right now isn't to do more or have more or prove more. It's to choose differently. To choose growth over comfort, action over fear, and possibility over limitation. Every time you make that choice, you're rewriting your story. You're reminding yourself that you have power, the power to begin, to shift, to rise, to become. And when you look back one day, you'll realize that this small decision, the one you make today, was the turning point. The moment your life quietly started to change. Stop waiting for the perfect time. The truth is, there is no perfect moment to begin. The moment you choose to start is what makes it perfect. So many dreams never see the light of day because people are waiting for the right circumstances, the right support, the right energy, or the right amount of confidence. But life doesn't hand you perfect conditions. It gives you moments raw, uncertain, and often inconvenient, and ask what you'll do with them. We tell ourselves, I'll start when I have more time. I'll do it when I'm ready. I'll take the risk when things are more stable. But readiness is a myth. No one ever feels completely ready to change their life. The path only becomes clear once you start walking it. Every person who has ever achieved something great began before they were ready, before they had all the answers, before they had the courage completely figured out. They started anyway. Waiting for the perfect moment is often just fear disguised as patience. We fear failure, judgment, or discomfort, so we convince ourselves we're being sensible by waiting for a better time. But what we're really doing is protecting ourselves from uncertainty, and in doing so, we also protect ourselves from growth. The longer we wait, the louder our doubts become. Our dreams don't fade because they're impossible, they fade because we starve them with hesitation. The truth is, every moment you delay, life keeps moving. Opportunities shift, energy changes, people evolve, and time, the one thing you can never reclaim, keeps ticking. You don't have to rush your journey, but you do have to begin it. The first step is never perfect, but it's always necessary. Starting doesn't mean you'll have everything figured out. It just means you've decided that you're done standing still. Think about all the things you once thought you couldn't do yet. Somehow you did them. You adapted, learned, and grew through trial and error. Starting is uncomfortable because it strips away the illusion of control. But progress doesn't come from comfort, it comes from movement. The people who change their lives aren't the ones who wait for the right timing. They create the right timing by taking action. Imagine standing at the edge of a pool, waiting for the water to feel warm before jumping in. It never happens. You have to take the plunge first, only then does your body adjust. The same applies to every challenge in life. The conditions won't feel right until you make the move. The fear won't disappear until you confront it. Confidence won't come until you begin. Every time you act in spite of uncertainty, you strengthen your belief in yourself. Perfection is one of the biggest traps that keep people stuck. We want our plans to be flawless, our path to be smooth, and our results to be guaranteed. But perfection is a moving target. It shifts the closer you get to it. If you wait until everything is ideal, you'll spend your whole life preparing and never actually doing. The secret is not to wait for perfection, but to start imperfectly. You can always refine, adjust, and improve along the way. Life rewards those who take initiative. Even a messy beginning holds more value than endless planning. Every mistake teaches you something that waiting never will. You can read all the books, listen to all the advice, and visualize every detail, but experience is the only real teacher. And experience only comes when you start. Some people spend years planning their someday. They dream about a business they'll start, a book they'll write, a goal they'll chase. Once things calm down, once they're ready, but someday is not a day on the calendar. If you keep waiting for it, it never comes. The right time is rarely convenient. It often shows up disguised as chaos, uncertainty, or even struggle. But that's the test. Will you move forward even when things aren't ideal? The truth is, the moment you decide to begin, everything starts shifting. You may not notice it at first, but your energy changes. You become more alert to possibilities. You start attracting opportunities and people that align with your new direction. The world has a way of opening up for those who take the first step, but it only opens up after you've shown you're serious about moving. There's also freedom in starting. You release yourself from the weight of indecision. You stop overthinking and start experiencing. When you act, you move from imagination to creation, from wishing to doing. That's where real growth lives. You don't need to know the whole plan. You just need to trust that you'll learn along the way. Everyone who has achieved something meaningful once stood where you were uncertain, scared, unsure if they were ready, but they realized that waiting wasn't helping. The difference between those who dream and those who achieve is that achievers start despite their doubts. They accept that failure might come, but they also know that not trying guarantees failure anyway. Time is moving whether you act or not. A year from now, you'll wish you had started today. So instead of saying, I'll do it when I'm ready, try saying, I'll start now and I'll get ready along the way. You'll be amazed how much you can grow once you stop waiting for permission. The truth is, life doesn't demand that you be perfect. It asks that you be present. Every great story begins with one imperfect start. You just have to take that breath, make that call, write that first line, take that first step. The moment you begin, everything changes. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you finally stopped waiting and started living. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for more confidence, more resources, or more clarity. The perfect moment is an illusion. The perfect moment is now. The moment you choose to begin is the moment that transforms your life, because it's not the conditions that make it perfect, it's your decision to start. Change begins with mindset. Replace doubt with belief, hesitation with action, and comfort with growth. Every transformation starts in the mind long before it shows in life. The mind is the starting point of every great journey. It's where ideas are born, decisions are made, and limits are either broken or built. You can have all the skills, opportunities, and resources in the world, but if your mindset isn't aligned with growth, you'll stay stuck in the same place. The way you think determines the way you live. When you look at people who've turned their lives around, the common thread isn't luck or talent, it's mindset. They believed in possibilities when circumstances told them otherwise. They refused to accept limitations as final. They decided that their current reality wasn't their final destination. That decision, made in the quiet corners of their minds, changed everything. Because once your mind shifts, your entire world begins to shift with it. Doubt is often the first obstacle that appears when you try to change. It whispers that you're not ready, not capable, not enough. And when you listen to that voice, you begin to shrink your dreams to match your fears. But belief is the antidote. Belief doesn't mean blind confidence. It means trusting yourself enough to try, even when the outcome is uncertain. It's reminding yourself that you've survived difficult moments before, and you can do it again. When you replace doubt with belief, you stop focusing on what could go wrong and start imagining what could go right. Hesitation is another silent enemy of progress. It convinces you to wait for the right time, for certainty, for approval. But every second spent hesitating is a second lost in potential. Action, no matter how small, breaks the cycle. When you move, even imperfectly, you begin to build momentum. You learn, you adapt, you grow. Movement creates clarity. The more you act, the more confident you become. The more confident you become, the more you act. That's how change takes root, not through endless thinking, but through consistent doing. Comfort, too, is a subtle trap. It feels safe, familiar, and easy. But comfort zones don't stay the same. They shrink with time. The longer you stay in one, the more it limits you. Growth, on the other hand, is uncomfortable. It challenges your patterns and exposes your weaknesses, but it's also where your potential lives. Growth is not meant to feel easy. It's meant to stretch you. Every time you step out of comfort and into challenge, you build resilience. You begin to trust yourself more deeply, realizing that you can handle more than you thought. Mindset isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. It's a daily practice, choosing to see opportunity instead of obstacle, effort instead of failure, progress instead of perfection. The mind is like a muscle. It strengthens through repetition. The more you feed it empowering thoughts, the more it starts to believe them. The problem is that most people focus more on what they fear than on what they desire. Your mind becomes what you feed it. If you constantly tell yourself you can't, your mind will find proof to support that. If you tell yourself you can, your mind will search for ways to make it happen. Transformation begins invisibly. Before anyone notices change in your life, it has already begun in your thoughts. That's why it's so important to be aware of your inner dialogue, the conversations you have with yourself every day. If you constantly doubt your worth, you'll act small. If you constantly believe in your strength, you'll act boldly. Life mirrors what you think most often. Change your thoughts, and your actions naturally follow. The greatest battles are fought in the mind. Every time you choose faith over fear, discipline over comfort, and persistence over frustration, you win a small victory. Over time, those victories build into habits, and habits are what shape your future. You can't control every event that happens in your life, but you can control how you think about them. That control is your greatest power. A strong mindset doesn't mean you never feel fear or doubt. It means you don't let them control you. It means you acknowledge them, but move forward anyway. Growth requires courage, not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. You learn that setbacks aren't signs of failure, they're lessons. You begin to see rejection not as a closed door, but as redirection. You stop viewing challenges as punishment and start seeing them as preparation. That's the mindset that turns ordinary people into unstoppable ones. Every great achievement, every major transformation began with a mental shift. Someone decided to think differently, to stop blaming circumstances and start taking responsibility, to stop waiting for opportunities and start creating them. Once your mind believes something is possible, your body follows. You start behaving like the person you want to become. You start making decisions that align with your future instead of your past. The truth is, you can't outgrow your mindset. If your mind stays limited, your life will too. But if your mind expands, your world expands with it. When you start thinking like someone who deserves better, you begin to attract better, not because the world changes instantly, but because your energy, actions, and focus do. Change isn't about doing more, it's about thinking differently. You can't build a new life with the same thoughts that built the old one. You have to reprogram your mind to believe in new possibilities. That takes time, patience, and daily practice, but it's worth it. Because once your mindset changes, everything else follows naturally. So start with your mind. Challenge the thoughts that limit you. Replace self-doubt with belief, hesitation with action, and comfort with growth. Remind yourself daily that every transformation begins within. When you win in your mind, you've already won half the battle in life. Change doesn't start when your circumstances improve. It starts the moment you decide to think differently. And that decision, made deep within, has the power to change everything around you. Small, consistent actions create big results. Wake up earlier, practice gratitude, learn something new, or simply commit to showing up every single day. It's easy to believe that great success or transformation requires something dramatic, some grand event that changes everything overnight. But real progress doesn't work that way. Real change is slow, steady, and often invisible at first. It's built quietly, one small choice at a time. The difference between those who dream and those who achieve lies not in talent or luck, but in consistency, the ability to keep showing up even when it feels insignificant. The truth is, big goals can feel overwhelming. When you look too far ahead, the distance between where you are and where you want to be can seem impossible to cover. But when you focus on small daily steps, progress becomes manageable. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to do one thing that moves you forward. It may not look like much in a single day, but over time, those small efforts compound into something powerful. Think about a seed planted in the ground. For weeks, you see nothing. It seems like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, roots are growing, the foundation is forming. Then, one day, a sprout appears. That sprout is the visible result of all the invisible work that came before. The same goes for your efforts. Every small action, every bit of discipline, every moment you choose progress over procrastination, it's all building something beneath the surface. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean you never miss a day or never make mistakes. It means that even when you fall, you get back up. Even when motivation fades, you keep going. Progress isn't about intensity, it's about persistence. Doing something small every day is far more powerful than doing something huge once in a while. You can read for 10 minutes daily and finish more books in a year than if you try to read for hours and quit after a week. You can exercise for 20 minutes a day and end up stronger than if you push yourself for hours and give up. The power lies in repetition. Small actions also build momentum. At first, it takes effort to start to get out of bed earlier, to sit down and learn, to write, to exercise, to focus. But as you repeat the behavior, it becomes easier. What once felt difficult starts to feel natural. That's how habits form. And once something becomes a habit, it stops requiring willpower. It becomes part of who you are. Consistency turns effort into identity. You stop saying, I'm trying to be disciplined, and start saying, I am disciplined. Each small step you take creates evidence that you are capable. When you keep promises to yourself, no matter how small, you build trust in your own word. That self-trust becomes the foundation of confidence. You start to realize that you don't need huge wins to feel progress, you just need to keep going. You don't have to be the fastest or the best, you just have to stay in motion. Waking up earlier, for example, may seem like a minor thing, but it creates space for reflection, for productivity, for peace. Starting your day with gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's meaningful. Learning something new each day expands your mind and keeps your spirit alive. Even showing up on days when you don't feel like it matters, because those are the days that define your discipline. Anyone can act when they feel inspired, it's acting when you don't. That builds greatness. The compound effect of small actions is powerful because growth isn't linear, it's exponential. Just as interest grows over time when you invest money, effort multiplies when you invest consistency. One day of effort may not change your life, but 100 days of effort can. Every repetition builds strength. Every attempt sharpens skill. Every failure teaches resilience. The results may not be visible today, but they're forming quietly, preparing for their moment to reveal themselves. People often give up because they don't see instant results. But think about this, when you boil water, it doesn't reach 100 degrees instantly. The temperature rises gradually, degree by degree, until it finally boils. But without each of those small degrees of change, the water would never reach that point. Your life works the same way. Every effort counts, even when it seems like nothing is changing. Consistency also teaches patience. It reminds you that success isn't about speed, it's about endurance. You learn to fall in love with the process rather than chasing quick rewards. You begin to see that the journey itself shapes you, your discipline, your focus, your resilience. The destination becomes less about achieving something and more about becoming someone. In a world obsessed with quick results, consistency is almost a superpower. Most people quit too soon. They stop right before the breakthrough, right before the habit sticks, right before their effort starts to pay off. But if you can keep showing up even imperfectly, you'll eventually reach a point where the results catch up with your effort. What once seemed impossible starts to feel inevitable. Small actions are not small when they are consistent. They are the quiet architects of transformation. Every morning you wake up a little earlier, every time you choose gratitude over complaint, every moment you invest in learning, you're building momentum toward a life that reflects your potential. It's not about doing everything right. It's about refusing to stop doing what matters. So keep going, even when it feels slow. Trust the process, even when results are invisible. Remember, it's the small, steady steps that build mountains, not leaps. Every day you show up, you're moving closer to the person you're meant to become. Change doesn't happen in a single moment. It happens in the moment you choose not to give up. Small actions, repeated with purpose, have the power to create extraordinary results.